Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here, talking to you a little bit about this particular new moon happening with a Juno conjunction in Cancer on the 17th of July. So the idea basically is to get things safe, connected and good. This month of July specifically at this point speaks of connective tissues and of having things together. The moon connects to the heart during this time. The moon connects to your core. It's all or nothing. It's about everything being safe and fitting in perfectly. The rabbit here is asking us all to conform and also to adore that which we've done. It has been asking for a while for us to receive the most out of life, to get the best results, to get a very clear-cut picture or vision of life. And a lot of us people that have not had the chance also to experience certain things are going to experience them soon. So for example, if you have not been able to conceive a child, it is likely that this is going to become possible during this time. If you have not been available to receive certain praise, maybe people are going to become available for that. So there is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime feeling of a certain door opening that says, okay, so your past is done and the future is here. So this is a very, very important time for all of us to create and to conceive interesting ideas, to fully start that future, to say goodbye to the memories, to say goodbye to the old ways of doing things. And for that, I say yay. And there is a feeling of chance during this time and good reason, and also a certain type of bout of creativity which Juno is going to kick off, and a certain type of resurfacing of what is real, what is right, what is correct, and what is undoubtful in one's life, as it seems to me that a lot of people have been solving a lot of problems and finding the better way of life, finding better reasons, greater reasons, recognizing what is more appropriate and acceptable, what is more connected and what is more hopeful. So I feel there is like a time of grace and a certain type of connection. There is also a time of deliberate creation and creativity. And in some people's lives is going to be a stop and a big no as well. Also because they were going the wrong way, they were going the wrong direction, or they were trying to solve too many problems and they probably had too many reasons and too many messy endings and beginnings. So if you are very good to yourself, and if you have a lot of passion and connection and also maybe romance to your life, you might be able to get rid of these ongoing karmas where you're doing things day in and day out and repeating the back to front patterns that you have inherited from your parents or their parents or just your timeline itself. And this means that also in terms of healing and biological changes, some people, if they put some power into this, can heal miraculously and receive incredible results. But that needs to be done in a healthy way. So taking care of the body, maybe drinking lots of herbs, taking care of that which is ongoing, and trying to rid yourself of hereditary or long haul clinical, like biological traumas and sadnesses. So it isn't just about your state of mind and your state of self. It's also about the physiological, biological issues that might be coming up in order to get solved. So for some people, there is a triumph. There's a feeling of, we did it, or yeah, like, yeah, you did it. It feels that certain people have fully mastered themselves and have qualified for a certain karmic change in their life. Certain people are going to no longer be available to previous levels of servitude and disgrace, as there is a sense of grace and gratitude taking over during this time. I feel this is a very, very special time. I feel there's going to be a lot of hope and love and life given to certain individuals. I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to mature very quick and understand where that truth was. So maybe you have done things back to front for a long time, and now you finally see and can fully understand, wow, this wasn't you. This wasn't your truth. You've been doing things backwards. And it's a great day, it's a great time to resolve things and actually start doing them perfectly. So this is about closing things down where you shouldn't have them. It's about making people your friends where they should be your friends and not your lovers. It's about helping certain people also evolve. It's about making polite and conscious movements in your life. It's about growing a family. It's about growing a business. It's about doing things right. It's about having everything in the right place. It's about knowing how to, use money, knowing how to use technology, being up to date, recognizing where you have been doing things wrong. Also, if you are practicing any kind of craft or just anything around the house, understanding, I've been putting too much salt in my diet, or like, I've been making too many changes, or I have not actually been able to be up to scratch or up to date with my designs because I didn't know the formula. And here we have new technologies, we have new people, we just have wisdom. So I'm feeling that there's going to be just quite a lot of wisdom when it comes to the daily things, when it comes to abundance, when it comes to real life results, and recognizing where things actually do matter and where they can't. Or they shouldn't have in the first place. And we have to basically put things right, put things straightforward, have a very nice, normal, and simple existence. And for a lot of people, there's also going to be tests and humiliation and tribulation and weirdness. And it might actually have to do with a certain type of habit or a certain type of worldview. So if you have something dishonest about you, you might be tried and pushed. Also, people are interested in weeding out the liar or the fool in a situation. We do still have Mars and Venus next to Lilith there, and also Pallas and Sappho are there as well. So there could be a lot of romance and intrigue and intimidation, as these are now opposed to Saturn as well, Saturn Eros. So yeah, never mind. So basically what we have now is we have this grouping also of people that don't want to be taught. They don't want to learn. They don't want to do anything right. They don't want to get real. They want to get strong by using fantasy or maybe even certain type of exotic innovation to make themselves feel pure and good. So there's a lot of people experiencing bouts of narcissism. There's a lot of people playing games with other people. There's lots of people wanting to take certain substances or be part of certain experiences that have absolutely nothing to do with them and have nothing to provide. So they don't have like the whole picture of life in their hands. They have just kind of like a sort of a partial understanding of what life is about. And that's not actually that big a deal. It's just that there's going to be a spotlight on anything that was or has been wrong. So some people might be surveilled and asked to provide certain details and information. So there is a hunt now uh, for the person that has done some wrong. So for example, if somebody has been part of fraud or fraudulent activity, or they've been dishonest, or they've been lying about something, there's going to be a way that people are going to find it out, or there's going to be a keen eye for detail, as Saturn is opposing the stellium. And also there is Pluto opposing the Sun. So I mean, to make sure that you do things right is probably the best way to do it, to make sure that you get it right, to make sure that you're strong, to make sure that you are only speaking the truth, and making sure that you are not asking for anything else than what is necessary or what is meant to be given already. So the whole picture, I think, is going to change for quite a lot of people if they are just and true, and if they are simple in the way that they face their life, and if there are any complexities or unnecessary thinking patterns, unnecessary questions, or just unnecessary work that's going to start to collapse. Also, people not having enough, feeling like they're always doubtful, people complaining about each other, complaining about their lives. Also, people that enjoy stereotypes and also are acting as stereotypes. All of this theater is basically going to start to become unbearable to themselves or other people. And yes, we do have the North Node moving into Aries, of course, and that's going to be very hard for a certain amount of people to face themselves and their bodies and the purity of their true wishes and willpower and how they have also been dealing with their biological, like primitive reality. So North Node in Aries, I will do a little video about this shortly. It's a primitive energy. It does speak of primitivism, and it does get us things if we want to do things the normal, ordinary way. Also with Jupiter being in Taurus, and if we want to be kind and helpful and knowledgeable and face certain results. And also if we are open and kind enough to face certain truths and understand certain reasons. So it's just about basically cleaning up. Cancer can be very messy sometimes, but it is at the end of the day about making order out of chaos. And it is about letting go of the past truths and previous civilizational decline. So, like example, issues like, for example, sexism or racism, or never mind, just really bad things that basically people have done for generations. You don't have to be a part of it. So we're trying to break ourselves out of certain types of servitude and also negligent behaviors to ourselves and other people. A lot of people wouldn't mind completely changing their lives and their bodies, and I'm seeing people also doing that in a very unhealthy way. So people rushing towards a certain type of climatic change or difference in their work as well, in their worldview, in how they treat each other, but that may not necessarily be healthy or agreeable to do. So this isn't also about quick things, it's about safety and things being checked and measured. So you have to measure many times, you have to understand things many times. You might have to be in pleasure of the details, so that means taking care of the details, understanding where things are, recognizing, educating oneself, trying to pay close attention to how things are and how things were, if they are wrong things that are happening, in your timeline or in your body, even if they're like really wrong things happening with your peers. It has to be very, very normal now and very well defined. I think a lot of people are not going to be very happy or very confident about how things were, how they're going. And that's going to have to become really obvious. And yeah, in a way, certain people might also need to pay a price in order to change their life or to learn something quickly. So, in terms of like paying prices that you don't need to pay, about doing things a quick way, about having desperate results, like desperate result seeking, feeling like you're late, that you have to rush, all of this has to eventually end, and we just have to sit down and relax. And there is a feeling of being by and by, so there's like the feeling of the home, obviously in Cancer. There's a feeling of nutrition, tuition, sensitivity, having things done in a certain way. It's not about aggression. It's not about making people feel uncomfortable or making other people feel vulnerable. It's about having a certainty. In the end, people are looking for a certain type of result. And also we're getting very close to Leo, as we are going to cross into Leo eventually. There's going to be need to really do things right before we do that, because Leo has Lilith inside of it, and it also has Mercury, and it still has a tail end of Venus there as well. So what I'm basically saying is that Leo is going to be very strong, very gutsy, and is going to be very proud. If people are very messy with their conduct with one another and with themselves during Cancer, there's going to be not really enough thought or method given to the backlog. So Leo can be very rambunctious, and it can actually rip open or tear apart or break. And it can also break free and everything like that. It can also be very positive. But unless we do the groundwork in Cancer, I think that Leo is going to be a very uncomfortable and upheaving month. So what I'm basically saying is that Leo is going to be tormenting for some people, and is going to ask a lot of questions, and is going to bring a lot of foolishness out in certain people, and it might bring a lot of mistakes to the surface if we are not calm, cleansed, and careful in Cancer. So Cancer is your chance to organize your home. It is your chance to say a little prayer, It is a good time, especially during this new moon, to surrender, to understand your previous and current results and to recognize as to how to build your future based on the previous and current result. And also to no longer need the mess to make yourself feel proud or simplify it somehow. So it isn't great to go into some crazy adventure. It's not great to pull yourself into a very extreme or like extremist life or worldview. It's really bad during this time to go into any kind of theatrics or extremes, like personality extremes, as we don't really have the heart also to understand that as a people. Sometimes a lot of experiences in contact with people can be broken due to a certain type of acting out, especially during a rabbit year, as people tend to be more judgmental, as we are all a little calmer and more sensitive during a rabbit year. And this means that certain drama and certain personalities are going to basically be disrespected and weeded out. So, like, imagine not having that place anymore, not having that invitation, not having certain opportunities because of like a rambunctious phone call or because of a certain air of disrespect. Sometimes also like spinning lies or doing things in an alternative way can be very mean and messy. And we're not meant to do that now. So I feel that most of us will not be able to handle it also if we don't have enough supports. People saying like, oh yeah, I can do it by myself. I don't care what anybody else thinks. And that can be very healthy and is a good choice for some people, but in many people's lives, that's not going to be the best program to follow. So Dragon is going to be very independent eventually in 2024. Dragon year is going to naturally ask us to be independent and full of it, like just full of energy, full of pride, and sometimes just full of gas, just full of hot air. But that's going to, I feel, claim its own space eventually by itself. There's going to be an automatic space claiming, there's going to be an automatic joy and a meaning that will come out of Dragon Year. But at this point in Rabbit Year, I think we have to be joyful in a very simple way. I feel that we have to become more soft and more caring and more kind, especially in Cancer. Rabbit Year with Cancer Sun is a very incredibly sensitive and very, very kind of sparkly and crisp, clean, careful, also silently proud energy. And then it eventually basically, in a way, packs your bag for the future. So if you could imagine there's going to be a big rip at the seams in some people's lives. There's going to be a big test in some people's lives during the next part of the year. And Cancer is probably your only maybe time to sort things out and get them put into a nice, maybe even banal perspective, just simply because there is a preparational phase here, and for many, many people is going to be the one and the only chance to, do their grocery list, like pick up their bag, spruce up and clean and understand things inside and out, and also step away from previous karmas. So previous and clarity. I know people say cleanliness is next to godliness. Maybe to a degree that is also part of it. Maybe it's just about being incredibly hygienically clean and incredibly good feeling, like feeling great just because things are sorted and organized. And then that is how the next phase is prepared for you. So if you have everything up in the air right now and everything's very bulbous and unclear, it's going to be hard in the next while. So if you wanted to have a cleanse, Cancer is one of the best times to cleanse. It's one of the best times to organize your home, especially during the new moon. This is one of the greatest times to say thank you and I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, ho'oponopono. It's a great time to offer a prayer. It's a great time to deliver messages and to visit people that you need to visit. It is good to connect and to also bring things to a clear that have been unclear for a long time, but it isn't about meanings, it's just about safety. And then inevitably, as we go into the next phase of the year, as we are facing the second fire sign, which is Leo, it is going to be a very, very big, deep, and strong, and even intense feeling of what is hope, what is truth, what is the future, what is a life, what is it that we are doing. And also, there's going to be a question of vulgarity, and there's going to be a bit of showmanship, as they say in there. There's going to be a bit of criticism. There's going to be a lot of anger in some people's lives and also potential damage. So to be there and to be there in grace, it is just basically good to cook and clean, pack out your house with things you need, like make sure you have what you want. Also, like in olden times, they used to already start packing their house with food for the winter. So in olden times in the northern hemisphere, this would be the time to gather certain seasonal fruits and dry them and pack them for the winter. So it is about preparation and preparational technologies. It is about having more than enough. It is about having a certain type of care given to yourself and to your home. And eventually, inevitably, it is about preparing a certain situation. Also, some people want to be prepared for their older years during this time. Certain people prepare for harder times, for harsher climates. So as we are, in July now, middle of July, and people would say this is the peak of summer, it's beautiful. It's already starting to fade in some ways, and it is very, very nice to be observant, to be strong, to be nurtured, to be practical, and to also prepare for any kind of demise, any kind of shortening, So this is where, in olden days, they would pack their house full of dry fruit and vegetables or herbs, or conserves or preserves, things that also can be in cans or bottles or jars. It's kind of a metaphor, it's a metaphor for a certain type of, I suppose, privilege, even sometimes could even say privilege. And in certain situations, privilege is just about knowing what is to come and being prepared for anything that may surface. So it's a preparational moon and it's a cleansing moon. I hope that you're having also fun during this time, although it might be like the quieter, more meek type of fun. And I hope that you enjoy the next coming shifts to come. And I will now do a little video on the North Node and Aries. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.